Welcome to the Global Pulse, a short video series where our experts break down a trending topic in international business and why it matters to you.
My name is Dave Waguespack. I'm an assistant professor of strategy at the Robert H. Smith School of Business. This is my second time doing the Global Pulse recording, and I'd like to do something a little bit different. And in this case, I want to talk about Indonesia. And fortunately, I have a colleague that's an expert in that subject, Dr. Hani Soewandi. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Dave. I'm originally from Indonesia. I got my PhD from North Carolina State University. And what do you want to discuss about Indonesia, Dave?
Thank you, Hani. So I think my supposition is that a lot of Americans are unaware of Indonesia and that they should be, and it's literally halfway around the world. And so the question is, as a person interested in business, why is Indonesia so important? What merits my claim that we should be giving it more attention?
Okay, good question. So Indonesia is the fourth largest population in the world with roughly about 280 million people. So you can imagine with that many people in Indonesia, and of course the GDP is also not that bad. It's around about 1.5 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. This is the 16th largest GDP in the world. And with the purchasing power parity of roughly around about 4.7 trillion, this is the seventh highest in the world. That certainly open up a lot of opportunity for business, many different ways.
Yeah. Let me add on those two things, Hani, that Indonesia expected to grow, according to the World Bank, to 310 million people in the next 10 years. At which point it will maybe surpass the U.S. Now, Nigeria is growing fast too, so we may be neck and neck for third place there. But also 5.1% GDP growth expected over the next 5 years.
Yes, that is correct. So that is in terms of opportunity, it provides a lot of opportunity for many different reasons. As a market, it is a growing market, obviously. And then not just as a market, as a supply of the production in terms of like in particular human resources, that provide a huge opportunity. So for now, for the many US multinational corporation, in particular in the software industry that I'm working with, many of us know, like of course, China, India, but Indonesia with that many people cannot be that far behind. And that should provide a good opportunity for many of the company.
So I noticed on those two things that so Indonesia is projected to have about 1.2 million college graduates per year, which is a relatively low rate of tertiary participation, but it's increasing. But also the digital economy is very big in the country and growing very fast. And people may not be aware of companies like Gojek outside of Indonesia or Southeast Asia, but these are big players.
Yeah,
in digital markets. Yeah,
that is very true. So there are many like in terms of the digital market, there are many companies that is trying to emulate, I will say, either Amazon or Alibaba. So there they have like a Tokopedia, Blibli, and Blibli in particular is owned or co-founded by like a Jarum, the one of the largest cigarette company in Indonesia. So those are like certainly a lot of opportunity. And yes, the right now the number of graduates is still relatively low, and that is perhaps one of the reasons that not that many companies that trying to recruit like workforce from Indonesia yet, but that will obviously change in the very near future.
So maybe as the last point, let me ask you, for companies that want to enter Southeast Asia, either locating part of their supply chain there or as a market, why enter that market writ large, which is about 700 million people via Indonesia versus are there advantages there to entering via Indonesia as opposed to places like Vietnam or Thailand?
I think there are different advantages, right? It depends on the so far from what I know, mostly manufacturing company manufacturing right now that actually going to Indonesia to have their subsidiary or factory because it is relatively cheaper. They can produce like a product with a cheaper quality, well, cheaper price for sure. So, but then I don't know much to compare with Vietnam, but the I will say the other advantage of Indonesia is that they have a huge amount of natural resources that I don't think Vietnam can compete. Right? Like very likely you hear a rumor, or I don't know how true it is, that even Tesla at some point trying to negotiate to have a factory in Indonesia because of the battery that they produce, right? Like, so Indonesia has a huge amount of natural resources for that.
And that's been a big issue. That's been a big emphasis with the current and incoming governments, right? To
Yes.
have more of the production located, not just resource extraction.
Yes, that is very true.
Any closing thoughts here?
In terms of tech friendliness, also, I think Indonesia is considered to be one of the best place. Is if I'm not wrong, is ranked number 12 in terms of the tax friendliness. Of course, tax is a relative subject, and there are many different ways. But for American, from what I know, Indonesia is considered to be one of the best place. In particular for retirement is another thing that like Indonesia, Malaysia, in general, the Southeast Asia, they provided with a relatively good healthcare service with a lot cheaper. So that is perhaps that in terms of the tax, but of course, corporate tax has another aspect to it. But then, in general, I think it's one area that it can be beneficial. So.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Dave. You are more
Thank
than
you so
welcome.
much. Appreciate your time.